Hey everyone, I took this big leap of faith and I decided to do a bit of a project which was making my own vanilla extract. Vanilla extract is pretty simple to make. It's literally just vanilla beans and soaked in some type of alcohol. I'm choosing to use vodka and bourbon. But the reason I'm choosing to make my own vanilla extract kind of stems from who I am as a person. Because if you have watched my videos and looked at my descriptions, you notice at the bottom I'm starting to include more of a description of fair trade slash conservation slash just how inequitable and unjust our farming system is around the world. And, slavery is still very widely used, unfortunately, in the agriculture industry, as well as child labor. And a lot of those children, they think over half of the children that work in the agriculture industry work in like unsafe and hazardous conditions, which I really, it's hard to stand for that. Similarly, 60 to 80% of the world's crops are grown by women, but women around the world have less access to things like land, credit, training, seeds, and all the things necessary to grow crops. And so we're really disenfranchising the people that literally feed the world. And then on top of that, we then don't pay them a fair wage. And so a lot of farmers, again, globally, they're asked to live off less than $2 a day, which, I mean, that's just impossible anywhere you live. So with all of that, I want to make a difference. And so when I started my home bakery, I started using fair trade vanilla, which fair trade vanilla is so expensive. So remember, or if you don't know, vanilla is one of the most expensive spices in the world. I think it's actually second behind saffron, but I could be wrong on that. So it's still pretty expensive. You go to the grocery store and you see like one vanilla bean, they're typically like $10 a bean in the grocery store, but you can buy them in bulk. I chose the bulk route and I went with the Vanilla Queen. So that's a website and she does fair trade vanilla or fairly traded vanilla. She dives deeper into why fair trade doesn't always work, but basically when you're a small farm and you have no money, having to pay more money to then certify your crop as fair trade and equitable, just you don't have the profit for that. And so she makes sure that she works with farmers to make sure that they're still meeting the standards of fair trade, even if they're not certified. And so I bought a pound from her. It was $250. It was so much, but it got me 103 beans. So as you can see here, I split each bean open, pulled out, I think it's like the pulp inside, popped it into a 32-ounce mason jar, and now I'm adding 80 proof vodka to my jar, and I'm gonna seal it up. So I'm just gonna push everything in. These beans were a little tall. I should have cut them in half, honestly, but seal them in, and then go ahead and pop a label on it. And so I wanted to do a bunch of different batches of vanilla. That's why I bought 103 beans. And so I made 2 regular strength, 1 extra strength, and then 1 bourbon vanilla. This is my double strength. My double strength had around 33 beans in it. My regular strength had around 24 beans. Basically, the double strength, I'm air quoting double strength, is basically any beans I had left over after dividing it equally by 4. No, sorry. I used the recipe. I used a recipe of 6 beans per 8 ounces. So anything over that 6 beans per 8 ounces, any beans left over went into that double strength batch. So again, to make vanilla, it's really simple. All you want to do is buy some vanilla beans, cut them in half, strip out the seeds on the inside, and place them in a jar with some alcohol. And I would say actually splitting the beans in half is pretty optional. You can just stick them in their whole if you want to speed up the process. And then just make sure you squeeze out the insides before you use your vanilla because you get all the extra flavor. As far as the quality of the quality of the alcohol, it really doesn't matter too much because a lot of the flavor is going to come from the vanilla bean, not necessarily the alcohol itself. So you want to get something that's definitely strong, so 40 proof or higher, but you don't have to go out and buy like top shelf vodka or bourbon. It's not going to make a difference really. All right, so now that all my beans are in my alcohol and labeled, now comes the hardest part, which is the waiting. These need to sit for at least 8 weeks. But really the longer you can let them sit, the better. So I'm going to have 1 jar sit for 3 months, 1 jar sit for 6 months, and then my double strength and my bourbon vanilla sitting as long as I possibly can, hopefully up to a year. I'm just going to regularly shake it up and turn it around just so everything gets mixed up and together. And then when I use them, as you can see, it's kind of not chunky, but definitely stringy. So I probably will do some straining. But then you just pop them in a closet and you literally forget about them, just giving them a turn once a month or so. So here are my vanillas in all of their glory, all 128 ounces. I cannot wait for these to be ready. Well, I'll see you guys in the next video. And if you like this one and want to see more of my content, you guys know what to do.